West Coast, and it too lives in my veins. Both my mother and father worked for Bumblebee Seafoods right here in Astoria, Oregon. It was the last salmon cannery on the Columbia River, and it closed up in 1980. Now, that was part of this wonderful journey. When you talk about the flight of the Bumblebee, our family went from Astoria, Oregon. We followed Bumblebee Seafoods to San Diego, California. From San Diego, California, we went to Honolulu, Hawaii, and from Hawaii on to American Samoa. Now that journey brought me right back here home to Astoria, Oregon, and on to the Bering Sea. So we'll get going here. My first piece is called Home. Like I said, born right here in Astoria, Oregon. Hell yeah! January 8th is the day they gave to me. Born around the corner and just a few blocks up the street. My father was so proud. He worked for Bumblebee. My mother's side were fishers. This river was their dream. They set their nets adrift as the salmon swim upstream. Clifton was the town, and Marinkovich was the name. A family catching salmon, a legend in the game. As a young boy growing up, I watched them work in awe. The men were bigger than life, and their blood lived in my veins. I had a skiff and a piece of net. My drift it was an inside set. I'd watch the men unload their catch, the sweet smell of money, that's what they said. As summer would near, they would ready the gear. North to Alaska, they would all disappear. I hoped as I grew older, they would take me with one day. That day did never come. The Bumblebee up and flew away. Elmore Cannery is where I would play, fishing off the dock as my father would work away. When they shut down Elmore, a piece of Astoria died that day. We would hitch a ride on that big bee. San Diego and Hawaii were just two of the stops for me. Yet destiny would have its way, and I would come home and fish one day. My first drift when I came back was on this river with my Uncle Jack. Yet that was not enough for me, so I packed my bag for the Bering Sea. As I look back and reminisce, the home of past, well, does not exist. The pilings mark what now is gone. I walk the docks, I work the trade. Slowly I watch as the memories fade. I close my eyes, I hope, I pray, to find my home of yesterday. Now, although I did earn my first commercial fishing dollar right here on the Columbia River, I really cut my teeth in the commercial fishing industry in the Bering Sea. I spent 15 winters in the Bering Sea crab fishing. I went up there in 1991. Now, I was built for the Bering Sea. I was strong, athletic, and most importantly, emotionally unstable. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with the Bering Sea crab fishery. It's a single pot fishery. This buoy on the surface is attached to an 800-pound crab pot on the bottom of the ocean. As you move up upon that buoy setup, there's a man standing at the rail with a grapple in his hand. He's the one that really is going to set the pace. He's going to fire that grapple out there, harness that buoy setup, reel it back aboard the boat, and start hauling that pot up off the bottom of the ocean. And that was my main responsibility. It was my favorite spot on the boat. It was the most active, and I really embraced being the grappler. So that is my next piece here. So as I read this, I am envisioning myself once again as a young man standing at the rail of a Bering Sea crab boat. So here we go, the grappler. In the screaming gale and freezing spray, There is one man standing at the rail, out of the darkness and into the light. It's the man with the grapple, ready for the fight. Buoy's on the bow, it's time to let her fly. That shining stainless grapple, it takes a special eye. She streaks into the darkness with a line for a tail. She hooks the trailer buoy, it's time to haul her back. Up in the block, we're on the clock. This is the real deal. You do not stand around as the block sits and spins. The crabs on the table need to get in the tank. You shove crabs in silence as you listen for knots. That is how you will know when the pot's about up. Racing back to the rail, the pot's finally here. The hook is in, reverse the block and raise it above the rail. Dog her down and dump her out. This is what it's all about. It's the same every time. Throw the hook, pull in the line. The grappler is the man that will set the bloody pace. Through screaming winds and giant seas, the grappler cannot fail. The grappler is the man standing fearless at the rail. The Bering Sea, yeah. If 30-foot seas, 60-knot winds, and heavy freezing spray are just another day at the office, you might be a Bering Sea crab fisherman. All right, now, I tell you, just the soul-crushing exhaustion that comes with standing on the decks of these Bering Sea crab boats is something that's really hard to share with you folks, to help you, to put you in that spot. Now, this grind really entails the ability to escape from where you're at. And, this escape doesn't happen physically. There's nowhere you're going. You're in the middle of the ocean on that boat. But the escape happens up here in your mind. It's the dreams, the places you let yourself go to somehow get through the grueling conditions you're in. So, yeah. So this is the escape. The ocean is cold and the wind will not rest. The season will demand nothing but your best. You hear it in the rigging, you feel it in your bones. You've been here before and you know the routine. It's time for escape. It's time for the dream. A touchdown, three-pointer, the long home run ball, always the hero they cheer from the bar. I have been all these things, the dreams keep me sane. Leaving myself for as long as allowed. The cold and fatigue are kicking my can, feeling the pain and ignoring the fear, wishing myself anywhere but here. The days don't stay long and the nights never end. It's just me and this ocean along with some of my friends. What a perfect career for a monkey like me, yet they say no bananas and I can't find a tree. The dreams that I have are not all about me. I dream of my family and all those I love. I dream of my daughter. I dream of my son. I dream of the summer and all of the fun. Alone with myself on this cold frozen deck, I dream of my life. I dream of the check. This moon shines so bright on this clear cloudless night. I dream of full pots and crabs on the bite. The problem with dreaming is that's just what it is. The wind is still blowing, the ice and the cold. I stand with my brothers by my side, thick and thin. We look at each other and dream of the end. Okay. I'm going to take one. I'm going to stray just quickly here from my big, tough Bering Sea persona. During the summers here, of course, I'll be on the ocean tomorrow. I got the message. I got to be at the boat at 5 a.m. I'll be hauling Dungeness pots tomorrow morning while you're laying in the bunk. But during the summer, I shrimp fish with Rob Seitz. Some of you folks may be familiar with Rob. He's a legend in the FisherPoetry community here. So this is what I call my shrimping blues. And remember, I'm 51 years old, just to kind of put this in perspective. After 3 months of shrimping, I'm as slim as a stick. This makes it much easier as I pull off the lid. For down in the hold is where I must go. The hopper is full and the belt's at the ready. Who's working up top, whether it's Jimmy or Jenny, it really doesn't matter because the work's down below. There's a mountain of shrimp just from the last tow, and down in the ice is where they must flow. Now letting them fall down on top of that stuff, well, that will just not do. Then those shrimp would rot soon enough. 12 tons of ice is what you have down below. You start pouring them down one bin at a time, paying attention to give the same to both sides. Although it is cold, sleeves are short, arms are bare. It won't be long and you'll be dripping sweat from both ears. Now 12 tons of ice, one scoop at a time. You must rake it in and you better keep up. As soon as she's empty, Rob will fill her back up. Now it's back-breaking work if you're 20-ish some. But when you are 50, it's goat humping fun. Your back, it was hurting before you left for this trip, but now it sure feels like you must have broke both your hips. You haul back, then set back, you'll ice this whole trip. At first they were 3-day, but now 4-day damn trips. This is my signature piece here, and then the early 90s in the Bering Sea, I went to the Bering Sea in 1991 on a little boat called the Maverick. Now, the early 90s in the Bering Sea were every bit the heyday that the late 70s were up there. The snow crab quota, the Apelio quota, was 300 million pounds. There was 250 boats up there, and it would take us 4 months to catch that crab. Now, it really was a modern-day gold rush. If you got on a Bering Sea crab boat back there in the early 90s, you were going to make some money, and quite possibly life-changing amounts of money if you really got on them. Now, there was one catch. There was a good chance that you just might die trying. There was 250 boats, about 5 men on average on each vessel. So you had about, 12, 13, 1,400 men up there. And I guarantee every single season, and the stats prove it, there's somebody that's not coming back. And you feel it. When you're headed up, getting ready for that season, you feel it well up inside of you. That excitement, the anticipation of the big season, it wells up in you. You share it with your family. And I tell you what, when you don't come home, it's devastating. So Bering Sea Strong lives in each and every one of us. It's deep down inside of us, and that's where you go when you do not have the ability to move forward any longer, but somehow you dig down deep and you find the energy to move forward. So this is it right here, Bering Sea Strong. Here we go. There is a beast that roams out west. He is tougher and stronger than all the rest. As the ice appears and the nights wear on, the winds, they play a wicked song. It is so much more than just a physical test. It's a drive to live and be your best. Of all the men who ride these waves, there is one stat we all look at. Some of these men are not coming back. The family at home, they hope and pray, knowing full well he gives his best, wondering how he will endure this test. Every year we ring the bell. We close our eyes as they begin to swell. The children look and wonder why. Why my father? Why? Oh, why? We never got to throw the ball, the hugs and kisses, we will miss them all. I have known the pain of losing friends. I have had my tears freeze for them. There is only one thing that we must do: pull the next pot and push on through. Now, it is not always the sea that takes these men. Some are just lost deep within. They cannot find peace upon dry land, and the other fisheries do not test their hand. For all those men, both here and gone, fair winds, Smooth seas forever on.